I was in the Amazon, and there's I forget what it's called. It's the Pantanal. It's like a huge rainforest kind of, that's further south, but it's still in the kind of similar area. But I've served in both, and members would take us out, and we'd go hiking and stuff. And we had machetes, and we go through the grass, kind of like you see on the movies, just kind of like just a little trip. I don't even know how to describe it, but just like us, the members, and we'd go out through the jungle, just chopping through the grass and looking through, and we've seen monkeys. Like, I don't know, that was one of my goals as far as like the culture, is to see a monkey. And we saw monkeys. We saw monkey traps, which the members would cut down because it would just hurt the monkeys. And we went through, and it's tall weeds. It's weeds taller than probably 10 feet. That just kind of grows like big strands of grass. There's tons of trees, and you can't see, I don't know, maybe 10 feet in front of you because of all the thick grass and jungle. And we went through there a few times, and it was really hot and humid in the jungle parts, and it rained. Their winter and their summers are the opposite of ours, but it's hot all the time, hot and dry in their summer, and hot and wet in their winter. So it's always hot. The only difference is it rains. And so we saw eagles, we saw papagayi, parrots, lots of parrots, and macaws. I can't think of the names in English very well, but macaws, we saw macaws, like blue macaws and red macaws, just flying over all the time. We went fishing one time and caught a bunch of piranhas, which is kind of cool. We did that for in the morning a couple times. Just went fishing on P days. We didn't eat them because we found out the water was full of mercury, and so the fish would have had mercury in them, and the members told us not to eat them. But it was kind of fun just to go fishing and catch them. And we saw lots of crocodiles. We even saw there was a guy who got stuck under a boat, and a crocodile was coming, and they just sprayed like dish soap at the crocodile, and it swam away, which is pretty cool. And I think dish soap would scare a crocodile. We saw all sorts of wildlife, and then we saw like the members. Oh, I guess all the people there, not just members. All the people they kind of lived in little brick shacks. They'd have cement floors, just like a plain cement floor, and then kind of this little thin brick shack with some like brick tiles on the top. There's little huts that they made, and some of them up in the Amazon part of the jungle, they lived in wooden houses, which is kind of uncommon for Brazil. But they lived in is just wooden houses. They're considered poorer houses, so they're less quality, and some of them even had dirt floors. Those were the really poor ones. And then towards the outskirts where the Indians lived, and we saw a bunch of them, and we taught a bunch of the natives, the Indians. We taught a bunch of them, and they really accepted the gospel. It was kind of neat. But with the natives, you had to start with like the basics. You had to start with there's a great white spirit, like a great spirit, because they believe in a great spirit, and you have to translate that to start teaching. So that was pretty interesting because they're really rudimentary. They still use bows and arrows. They still have like things like that. It's not like the Native Americans here. Like the Native Brazilians are really kind of still in the kind of their native sense of mind. They don't really like intruders. They liked us. Some of them we weren't allowed to go in some areas. Members told us not to venture in some areas where some of the natives were, but other than that, it was pretty fun to see the difference. And it'd be they call them aldeias, a little like plot of land where the natives would be sometimes, even outside of a big city. Like there was a big city that was kind of a central, like it was almost the capital, but a little smaller than the capital. It was right next to it, and there's a little tribe outside, and they'd have a little house that some of the tribe members lived inside the city, and they'd always come and visit, and we'd teach them, and they really liked us coming by, and they liked the pictures. We take pictures of them and give them, like print them out and give them to them, and they thought it was the neatest thing.